Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody always asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. I'm going to do that by breaking down the mindsets of guests and my own to figure out what makes people say, why not? Well, hello and welcome back to Why Not. So today I am doing a podcast episode based on the post I did last week, which was 8 things I learned on my 8-week shred. So I just wanted to kind of delve into it a little bit more, give a bit more explanation, a bit more backstory maybe. Hopefully it explains things if you had any questions from the post, or if you have any more questions about it, feel free to leave me a DM. But as ever, sit back and relax or walk and listen. Here is my podcast, 8 things I learned on an 8-week shred. Why am I doing jazz hands? Nobody can see me. Hello and welcome back to Why Not. So if you are following me on Instagram or on social medias, you may have seen a post that I put up during the week, which was 8 lessons I learned from doing an 8-week shred. And some people know that I was doing a photo shoot last week. I kind of kept it a little bit quiet. Some people don't. And in the process beforehand, I incidentally was doing an 8-week shred program, which was designed for helping make sure I was lean enough for the photo shoot. And I just wanted to do a little podcast on this as well, because I was able to write a nice post. I thought the post was quite good, but I felt like I could expand it more when I'm talking. And I just feel like I could give you more detail on it. And if you are interested in finding out more, you can listen to it here. Or if you found the post before, that was it was quite a long Instagram post. I ran out of characters in it, and that's why I wanted to try and turn it into a podcast as well. And I just thought it would be good to have the both options. So either you can listen to my experience, or you can read about my experience, and that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to start off this week. This week is going to be the 8 things I learned from the 8-week shred, and hopefully you'll find it interesting as well. And if you haven't read the post, you'll hear this, you'll find this too. So first thing I said on my list of things that I learned from my 8-week shred is tracking can be a great tool, but it's not for everyone. Okay, so obviously because of the thing I was doing, I had to track my calories, track my macros, know exactly what I was taking in. And to me, I found it really good because, as I said, it highlighted how little protein I was eating, and I was eating a lot of carbs and fats, which I have nothing against, but I just was not getting enough protein and also enough vegetables, to be honest, because I got very, very lazy. It's just easier to make a sandwich sometimes. And then I would train quite a bit and wouldn't see my strength improving or my muscle tone improving despite me training regularly, and that was to do with not fueling myself properly. And to me, it was very interesting to see that, and now I am a bit more mindful of what I'm eating through the day and trying to get those extra bits of protein in. And also, say about lunchtime, instead of having a sandwich, having something that makes me a little bit more fuller. We've had bigger feed, so then by dinner time we're not ravenous and just eating loads of stuff after. And I think it's very important to highlight that just because I'm a personal trainer and I know how it should be, doesn't mean that I'm perfect all the time. And in fact, the way our job is, sometimes it can become very difficult to maintain that kind of eating properly, because you're doing shift work and you're tired and you grab stuff that's easier, and then sometimes you go several hours in a row and you might have forgotten to bring some food with you. So then of course you're starving and you come home and you eat loads of stuff. So it is easy to fall into those habits. And this was, for me, was a bit of a reset, in that I learned what I was doing and then I knew how to change it, because I now had it right in front of me. This is how much I was taking. Now, the reason I say it's not for everyone is, for me anyway, in this one, I did have to get very specific. So I was measuring everything out, and I was literally everything I was eating I was measuring. I was making recipes that would batch cook for a couple of days, which was really handy as well. And if that becomes a thing now for you, if you were doing it and you couldn't go a day without tracking, or you would feel very uncomfortable if you were at a restaurant where where say you couldn't track what you've eaten, or you were kind of guessing, and that gave you anxiety. That's not going to be great for you. If you're in a situation where, as I say, even just taking a day off from tracking, it's not great either. So I think it is a great idea. Once you get yourself set up, get your macros done right. Don't just go for the 1200 calorie option, and then you can like see how it works out in what you're eating of each. I think it'd be very helpful. And I think from me learning that and realizing how little protein I was eating, I got really good results on my muscles, and I feel like I really like not just leaned up because I was going on lower calories, but I feel like I actually built some muscle, I built some strength, my lifts all went up. So I think that was to do with the food as well, and I felt like my skin got a lot better as well. I have notorious issues with my skin. I have rosacea on my nose, always breaking out, and the fact that I was eating way more veg probably helped the fact that and I wasn't drinking alcohol either, so that's obviously going to help your skin. Really good way of getting rid of your skin issues is stop drinking. But I found like that all helped really well. And yeah, that was one thing I found really interesting at the start was when I looked at it and I went, oh my god, I'm eating so little protein in comparison to everything else, and this is why obviously I'm not getting the muscles, or like I'm not getting the results I thought I should be from the training I do. So that was a really interesting one. And like that, you know what, as soon as this challenge is end, I finish tracking, but I have an idea of now in my head of things I need to do or things I should do. Which it's really good to have, and I find it really, really handy now. I'll be a bit more mindful, especially around lunchtime, about what I can have to up that protein content. So our second thing that I learned is if you're going to do one of these things or one of these shreds, it's going to take a lot of time, okay? And like, I know we all have 24 hours, all these people say, and honestly, I don't think, obviously, in a sense we do, but different people have different commitments between work and, you know, families and stuff like that. And I was in a big group of people who were doing this, and they, you know, there was people who had children who were getting up at 4 and 5 a.m. to their first hour cardio, and then training, and then doing hour cardios in the evening. And like for me, obviously I work shifts and I was able to work in my cardio what I was doing. Like for instance, I use my horse riding as some of my cardio. But like it used to be, so there was weights 5 days a week and cardio up to 2 hours at the end of cardio 6 days a week. So when you think of that, like that's like 3 hours a day, 6 days a week for the last 2 weeks. It's a lot of time, and you have to be able to give that up, or you are going to have to let other things suffer in order to get those results. There was a competition involved in it, and I have a time where I'm kind of quiet at the moment, so it was very easy, not very easy, but it's easier for me because I've no children or commitments to do this. But I still found it very tiring. I took a lot of naps, I put other things on the back burner in order to get here, and that's the thing about it, it's not sustainable. Like, you are going to have to put things aside if you want to get this lean, but it's not exactly recommended either as women, because I saw some people in the group, you know, talking about stuff like losing their period or not having a period, right? And like that's to do with, you know, a lot of low calories, a lot of exercise, and as inconvenient as periods are, it's not advisable, and it's not great for women to lose it. So in that sense, like, I was seeing these things and people aren't understanding how that can affect you over time, and really, like, living like that is not sustainable. 3 hours a day exercising is not sustainable. Even to me, who's working part-time kind of at the moment, you know, you're gonna hit a wall at one point, and this is why you get, like, you see so many and these kind of transformations where people rebound so heavily after, because they've had this like crazy intense workout schedule for so long and this really intense diet, and then suddenly it's just like, oh, I want to eat everything, fuck it all. So it's very, very normal to see these rebounds, and like I said, it's not sustainable. You can't keep working out 3 hours a day unless you're a professional athlete. It's just not possible. And that was one thing that I found. Now, it was grand 2 weeks to end. I was working out the whole way through. Yeah, got there, it was okay, but not really recommended. Number 3, which is a big one. And it's don't do it in the winter. Oh my god, like I hear the running joke in the gym stuff, and it's they say winter is for bulking, and my god, it really is, because one thing you may not know about when you go into quite low calories is that it's bloody freezing. So like you find it hard, you kind of slow down, your body adapts to less calories, so you won't move as much when you're doing stuff, but it's also a lot harder to heat yourself and a lot harder for other functions. Like you might find concentration gets hard and stuff like that. But obviously I'm in Ireland and winter is cold, especially the last 2 weeks. It seems to have gotten mild this week, which is great. But it's crazy how you are how cold I was. Like I would be wearing layers upon layers and I'd still be freezing. Like I lose feeling on my feet all the time anyway, but I'm wearing 2, 3 pairs of socks, still cold, absolutely freezing. Delighted to start doing my cardio just to warm myself up some days, and you know, being cold all the time is horrible. And the other thing about it as well is if you are doing like an intense cut or a shred in the winter, because you're cold and because it is cold, nobody's gonna see what you look like. So you're gonna, like, you know, even if you're going out on Christmas nights at the end of it, like it's winter, so you're probably going to be wearing something with sleeves or a cardigan or a jacket. So you're wearing coats and heavy jackets all the time. So what's the actual point of losing all that weight when no one can see it? Now, as I'm saying, it's not all about losing weight to look good for other people. But if you're trying to go into kind of an intense, lean state, just it's not the best time to do it. Just speaking from experience, and yeah, I'm always cold as it is, and being double always cold, I was a little bit cranky. It didn't help. But yeah, I'm not saying you can't go on a fat loss journey during the winter, but if you're going on kind of a intensive one like me, like I was doing, I wouldn't recommend doing it in the winter. I think it's better off to be done in the summer months. But you know, you don't ever have to do them, to be honest. Number 4. This is very true. I like having abs, but I like having food more. And the thing about this is like, I know Kate Moss is still famous for that nothing tastes good as skinny feels, and I tell you right now, there's a lot of things that taste better than skinny feels. Now, I wouldn't consider myself skinny, I consider myself lean. However, oh my god, so many things taste better. Like, and I wasn't like, when it came towards the end, like I didn't go ridiculously low calorie. Some people were on 1300 calories in this thing. I was on 16 because ain't nobody got to see me on 1300 calories. And what's more on top of that as well is I was only a couple of 100 calories off what my sister worked out for me. And she said, and I like, not she said, but she worked out what she thought my macro should be. And anyway, I was cranky and I was tired because the cardio increased every week and your calories go down every 2 weeks. So by the end of it, you're doing more exercise and a lot less calories. And like, I don't know, like I was tired, I was napping and stuff like that. I didn't feel good. I felt a bit cranky for a week or two. And then at the end of that, I was like, you know what? I wouldn't mind the extra fluff. Like, yeah, the abs look great and stuff. But you know what I mean? Again, like that as well, like we're women, we're not really supposed to have visible abs. I don't know who made that popular, but being that low body fat isn't great for your hormones and stuff. So probably another reason why I was feeling a bit cranky. And there was a few hangry episodes, but we got through it anyway, and it's all okay now. But I still agree to this day, is the way you feel, the lack of energy you get from being on low calories and not having as much, being on the lower calories and not really having being tired all the time as well. Like I don't really think it's worth it, to be honest, just to look a certain way, because when you're getting to that low, you're not really doing it other than to look for looks. Do you know what I mean? There's no It doesn't benefit your training, it doesn't benefit your relationships, it doesn't benefit your happiness. So that's the way I think about it. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's all very well nice being able to see my abs and seeing each individual ab. And some women will get that without being as lean, but I just think that you're not at your peak. Like, not at your peak, I suppose is the best way of saying it. Like, you're physically and mentally at your worst to look your best. Does that make sense? And to me, I don't feel like it's worth it. It's not a sustainable way to be, and I prefer now. I already feel like I'm coming back up, eating more calories and training, already ready to push on for heavier lifts. And I did today, so I think that's really important to acknowledge that just to look a certain way, you shouldn't be making yourself miserable. And it's not really worth it. It's not enough, I think. Number 5 is, I don't think I could have done this several years ago, and I want to say why. So I wasn't always like this. I have been my own eating struggles over the years. Like, I would, when I get stressed, I don't eat as opposed to eat. I'm the opposite. So there have been times where I wouldn't be able to eat because I was going through mental stress, or I used to do reams of cardio in order to try and get skinny, like they say. And I used to be obsessed with being about 50 kilos. I currently weigh 58 normally is what I normally am. I lost only 2.5 kilos in this whole program, even though I got way leaner. So the reason I don't think I could have done this several years ago is because several years ago I would have become obsessed. I would have been like really strict on what I eat. I probably wouldn't have the knowledge of the food that I have now, so I probably would have ended up on the lower calories. I would have like been really obsessed that if I didn't get it absolutely perfect, I would have gotten guilty about it, and I probably would have had a massive binge after. To be fair, I've eaten a lot in the week since I finished because I can. It's been a bit of a wild week as well, so we had some things on that changed how I'd normally eat. So there's that as well, but it's not to the extent that I feel like I have to eat everything because I've been deprived. It's, I can enjoy everything and I am guilt-free with eating all of it. So I don't feel like I'm having this big rebound feed. I'm just like, yeah, I can eat that if I want. I don't have to worry now. I don't have to make the decision of garlic bread or rice. By the way, it's always garlic bread. And I don't know if I'd been able to transition back so quickly if I had been before. And I think I'm prepared now. I know I'm going to put some weight back on, especially over Christmas. I'm going to be eating higher calories. I'm going to be doing less cardio. It's going to be impossible for that not to happen, sorry, which to me is fine. I'm okay with that. As I was doing this as a challenge. The challenge is over. I'm done now. I'm going to go back to my usual eating habits, or well, not my usual eating habits, but maintenance calories, and I am to expect that I'm going to gain weight, and that's okay. Whereas if I tried to do this a few years ago, before I was in that headspace, I probably would have freaked out as soon as I started eating, or I would have started binge eating and put on a lot of weight, which I have done before. I have fluctuated quite massively, and my lowest at one point being 46 kilos. Don't recommend it. Was not nice. Not a good time in my life, but now I'm in a better space for it, so I know I can just transition through, and I will put on a bit of body fat again, but that's okay. I expect that to happen. And you have to be really certain that you can be okay with that if you're embarking on anything like this. If you ever feel like doing something like this for like a photo shoot, or you feel like you wanted to try competing. I know some people want to. I don't think I would be interested in that. You need to make sure you're able to deal with what will come on the other side, and the other side is you gaining some body fat back, not having those abs, not being as lean and as ripped as you were, and accepting that. And if you can't accept that that's going to happen, you should not start in the first place, because if this is going to throw you into a spiral of self-loathing and, binge restrict cycles maybe, or, obsessive calorie counting, it's not for you. If you have any inkling that might happen, you definitely need to reconsider doing it, because it'll wreck your life. Not wreck your life, but it will make your life a lot more difficult. So I really just want to make sure that you do think about stuff like this before you go down that hole. If you are considering going down a hole, really, really make sure you know. Okay. With that one, I want to go on to number 6, which is you don't have to be perfect to get results. Now, I would love to say that I followed the guides to a T. I did everything perfect, but I didn't. And when for the most part, I followed everything, but during week 5 of the 8 weeks, we went to Kilkenny for a few nights. And originally I was like, I'll try and track, I'll drink lower calorie option drinks, which I still did do that. I did that one. And I'll make sure I get my cardio in and everything will be great. And then I decided, fuck it. We're away to have a break. Like, it's 2 days. We were gone away for 2 days. Went down on Tuesday and came back up on Thursday. Like, it wasn't a long 2-week thing. So I still drank gin and tonics, gin and slim tonic, as opposed to having higher calorie drinks. But we had 2 cocktails when I was there, and we had bigger meals. We had nice meals out. We had a fry. It was part of our breakfast. And you know what? Like, it didn't really make huge amount of difference. People think that if you fall off the wagon for like 1 day, you'll ruin everything you've done. But it really made very little difference. I still got really great results. I trained the whole way through. And like, because I was doing my own calories and macros, I was able to factor in having a bit of chocolate in the last 2 weeks, and I swear to God, just for the mental side of it, it made my life so much easier, because like I didn't feel like deprived, because I decided with my calories, if I wanted to have a bit of chocolate, yeah, my macros might be perfect, but I'd have a bit of chocolate. Whereas if you're following a meal plan, you were kind of stuck to nothing other than protein shakes. And to me, it's more important sometimes than it's more like to have a little square of chocolate is worth that 70 odd calories, or it wasn't square, it was Lindor's because they're full of fat. But it was worth that, saving 70 calories here or there just to have one of them and just feel a bit happier, because it's not even for it wasn't for the energy levels, it was more for the soul, because it was like, yes, I can enjoy this. And I think it's really important for people to know that you can enjoy food that you like while losing it, like on a fat loss journey. And we really feel like we can't. It's been demonized so much. We think that we have to be miserable the whole time. And even there, when I was on my last week or two where I was on my lower calories, I still was able to have a bit of chocolate most days, because it kept me sane more than anything. It wasn't just a case of eating chocolate. It was keeping me sane and keeping me just a little bit happier when everything's a little bit harder. And I think it's just very important to remember that, like, you can enjoy stuff that you enjoy without feeling guilty, and without it like ruining your diet. It doesn't ruin anything. It's the fact that all or nothing mentality is what tends to ruin things more for people. So we want to be really, really careful that we're not in that all or nothing mentality, because that's what ends up causing more trouble than you think, And yeah, that will be number 6. So number 7 is training is easier than diet. And I always felt this way anyway for me, and I think it's a big thing that people neglect is, like, I find keeping a training schedule so easy. Like planning and cooking meals, not so much. Like I don't like cooking, so I really had to like I made batch meals as well, because if you are trying to control your intake, it's a lot easier to do so if you make batch meals. And then so if you you can do it, say on MyFitnessPal, you can make a recipe and you can say serves 4. So you add everything in together and then you divide it into 4 lunch boxes, and then you know what the exact calories are of your lunch every day, and that makes things a lot easier. Obviously, if you're trying to like guess this sandwich today and what that is tomorrow, and it was great, and it was really helpful, I think, for me, and it made things a lot easier. But getting used to cooking more meals, because in my house Peter does most of the cooking. He's much better at it than me. I'm very plain. I can eat the same thing over and over, so it was good for me to try new things and make new recipes that I haven't been doing. I've learned a few things as well, because there was a meal plan that you could follow, and I learned some of those recipes and I found them really helpful. So now I have more recipes in my arsenal that I can pull out and do going forward, which is great. And that's the thing I think we need to remember. Like, it is said a lot that, you know, nutrition trumps diet, and it's very, very true, because there's no point training 5 days a week if you're going to eat a dog shit diet. Like, you're not going to get the results you want. So it's worth putting in the time and effort of learning how to do this, so going forward it becomes a lot easier. And they don't have to be like chef masterpieces. You can have very basic stir fries and stuff like that, but getting an idea, as I said, of making these meals and knowing kind of what you're getting in it is I find really helpful, and it really helped me through it. And now I know I'm a little bit more I suppose trained in nutrition parts. It's all stuff I know, but I need these refreshes from time to time, and that's why I thought it was very helpful having like some recipes, and then trying to come up with some myself, and trying to make things like different things that I would say, for instance, low calorie but high protein, very easily done, by the way. And just, you know, getting to know what different things contain was very good as well for me. Again, it's not something you want to get obsessed with. It shouldn't rule your life, but you know, if you can sit down and batch a couple of meals for your week in advance, and you know now that you have, say, your breakfast and your lunch is ready, you might have different dinners, or you know, if something goes wrong in work, you already have your lunch there. You don't have to worry about making something or finding something. It does come in really handy, and especially if, for me, say for instance, if something goes wrong and by the time your food comes around you're starving, at least if you have it there, you're less likely to grab something quick, because you just have to throw it in the microwave and it's there for you. So I thought that was really helpful for me personally going forward, but I think it is very helpful to know anyway, and to learn a little bit about what your foods contain and how to monitor them without becoming obsessed about it. And it can be really, really helpful, especially when you learn what you're eating and what your actually intake is. I think that's the really important part, is learning exactly what you're getting, and that way it's a lot easier going forward. So that was number 7, and the last one here is number 8. And having a goal really makes a difference. And the reason for me saying that is because I do train all the time. I'm training constantly, but my training had become a bit stagnant. I wasn't really pushing myself towards anything. I wasn't really trying to get any better at anything. I didn't have a set vision. So there was a competition attached with this. I didn't get into the top 10 like I'd planned I would, but that's okay. But I was working towards that competition, and every exercise you did, your final set is supposed to be done to failure. So failure was pushing me to go heavier with weights that I haven't done in so long. Like, I'm well able to do it, I just haven't been bothered, because I was like, well, I can lift that. Well, I know I can lift that. That's kind of hard. Whereas I'm going for a failure set, I'm aiming for maybe 6 reps or something slightly heavier, and literally at the end failing. And I'd gotten so in the routine of just doing the same weights over and over for so long, and that another reason I wasn't really making changes is because your body adapts to lifting those weights. So why is my body going to grow and adapt more when it's done that every week for the last 6-12 months. So it made sense that I wasn't really getting any change. I was staying the way I was, but not building any strength. And by doing that, signing up for this program and having a kind of goal of getting to this thing in 8 weeks, getting into this top 10, it really forced me to push myself a little bit harder. And like I was saying before, all my lifts have gone up. You know, I am repping things that used to be my PB, and I probably could have done this a long time ago, but I wasn't. And the fact I was fueling myself helped this happen even more so. So it was really, really good to have that goal. And now obviously I'm kind of like, what do I do now? But I think I will do my own program again next, but I will go back and assess where I want to go or what I want to do performance wise. And until then, I'm going to keep doing the program I'm doing at the moment till Christmas, and then I'm going to change things up a little bit. And I think it's very important to know that trainers need trainers too. So there's nothing wrong. Many trainers have their own trainers, so there's nothing wrong with going off and buying a program from someone else if you are a PT, because like that, it gave me a goal and something to work with. And I know plenty of people who have their own trainers, who are trainers. So it's very easy to let your ego get in the way and you go, oh, I'm a trainer, I don't need that. But you do. We all need help. So I found, as I said, just really, really, really helpful having that set goal, and this is what I had to do, and this is what I was going for. And I will continue training now, but I think I'm going to have to try and set some bigger goals for the future, so I have something to work towards as well. And I think a lot of us struggle when it comes to staying consistent with training because we don't have a goal. We don't know what we want to do. We want to lose a bit of weight, but we don't know what. So this is why we kind of bounce in and out of training, when you can do so much more if you have something to work towards. It doesn't have to be a scales goal. It could be something you want to wear. It could be a lifting goal. Personally, to me, I feel like getting stronger is so much better than trying to lose weight or to be a certain size. And as soon as I stopped doing that, I got in much better shape. And whatever way you want to describe it, but I find that things changed for me when I decided I wasn't chasing a size goal anymore. I was chasing a weightlifting goal. And look, if this is something that you've been struggling with for a while, if any of these 8 things resonated with you, feel free to contact me. We can talk about how we can set up something for you, maybe an 8-week, 8-week program where you're working towards something that you want to do, and not because you saw something on the telly or you saw someone on social media. Who watches TV anymore? That you want to do. I want it like something sustainable is better, because as I said, this 8-week shred was great, but it's not sustainable. I'm going to put some weight back on. I'm okay with that. I'm not expecting to stay anyway. But if you're looking to do something a bit more sustainable, if you're looking to have a goal and set a goal and work towards it, feel free to drop me a DM, because as ever, you will find me on Instagram and TikTok. It's Chrissy H Fitness, and you can also go onto my website, fill out the contact form there. It's www.chrissyhawkins.com. So I hope you found that informative. I hope that helped you, because I thought it was interesting to see, reflecting on the back of the 8 weeks, how it went, how I found a way, what I learned along the way. And hopefully, if there are people who are struggling with this kind of thing, like going into these crazy extreme diets, maybe you don't need to do it. First off, maybe you will realize that that's why you feel horrible all the time, is you're not eating enough or you're overtraining or anything like that. Hopefully it helps you, or maybe if you were considering something like that, it'll help you think a little bit about of what it actually entails, and give you a bit of backstory insight into it as someone who's done something, as opposed to someone who just posts on social media how great everything is. I think it's important to be real about how these things go. And if you are looking, my DMs are always open. You know, I love to hear feedback on the podcast. So if you enjoyed this episode, please do like and share it. Drop me a comment, drop me a DM. If you have any questions, if you want me to expand on anything else, I'll happily do that for you. But as ever, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you all again next week. Thank you again for listening to the Why Not podcast. It really means a lot that you are listening in, and I would love if you could please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or subscribe on Spotify. And always, I'd love to hear feedback personally, so if you do want to leave me a message and let me know how you found the podcast, please do.